Go. As both runners are preparing for the race, and I think it's going to be underway, right? Yeah.
Yep, looks like they're ready to begin.
Alright, cool. Alright, good luck to both runners, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see a really close match. So, care to explain what the two runners are going to do in the beginning of the race? What is like the strat or the route they're going to take?
Yes, I believe both runners are going to just be opting to do the tutorial to get 1 coin and then speak to the Apple NPC to get 3 coins in order to buy spread from the shop. So I don't anticipate any of these runners will be doing any run and guns. They're just planning on going the pea shooter and spread route in order to save time on not having to do any additional levels.
Yeah, TMR at one point when he was doing his world record attempts back like in December, he tried to use a lobber as a secondary weapon in combination with spread, but it seemed like it didn't really save that much time compared to P-shooter. So he, it wasn't worth doing that extra running gun that it matters. Yeah, and now Wellisso buying a spread, he's gonna head out to face the first boss of the old bosses category, the root pack.
Yep, and TMR also buying spread. So they both should be en route pack shortly.
Yeah, spread is a really difficult weapon, I think, to use. Early on, the bosses are really easy, so they don't move a lot, and the hitboxes are really large, so it's really easy to hit everything with spread. But as the game gets further ahead, it will be kind of tough to keep up with the bosses' projectiles and everything to effectively use spread. And you're going to have really aggressive positioning as well.
Yeah, we'll see how aggressive these players decide to play. Since it is a tournament setting and a death could decide the entire match, you may see some of these players opt for a little more conservative play. But knowing TMR and seeing him play, he likes to play risky, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, hardcore gaming all the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Wellisso got a 48 there on the root pack. It's not really the ideal time to get, but again, he got hit early on, I think, in the onion phase, so he opted to play a little bit safe, not to risk it.
TMR pulling a 47 seconds time
exactly.
on that, slightly faster.
Yeah, he had the HP, he tanked a few shots, so he played slightly risky in the later stage of the fight. Can you tell us a little bit about the Ruby Croaks fight, the Frogs fight? Because it's a really interesting
Croaks is very RNG based. Depending on what attack is used first, as you can see, Wellisso has the smaller frog do his punching attack first. And it looks like Mexican Runner is also getting the same RNG. So depending on what RNG you have, you could actually entirely skip the second phase. As you can see, Wellisso's on it right now with the spin attack on the right, and then the left is shooting those little spirals. But TMR is getting 2 attacks in the first phase, which, if he does enough damage here, he might be able to skip the second phase entirely and get over to the third phase. It's pretty tight. It's very difficult to do. It looks like he wasn't able to get the skip here.
Yeah, so he was really close.
1 cycle, second phase.
Yeah, he was really close to getting that. You can see the right frog didn't do any attacks, so yeah.
It's very tricky, it's a very tight window, and it is very RNG based. Sometimes you need the frog in the back that shoots the flies. He has different patterns of flies that he can shoot in different amounts, and you need him to have a relatively long pattern for you to have a chance at skipping the second phase.
Yeah.
And then the slot machine as well has 3 different attacks.
Yeah, correct. The attacks that both runners got was the tigers. For many speedrunners that are new to the game, the tigers are really difficult to dodge, but these 2 runners are really experienced, so they know how to handle this. Be really close to the boss and use spread effectively, and get a really good time.
Probably the worst RNG you can get for that fight would be the devil horns in the final phase for speedrunning, just because you have to stand a little bit farther back to anticipate where their attacks are going to go. But both runners got the same RNG. Wellisso pulled a 117, I believe, and then TMR got a 121, so fairly close.
Yeah, indeed. And now Guppy can be actually a bit problematic boss in this one, simply because it's really difficult to keep up with him while he jumps, and you have to be extremely close to him. And you know, sometimes he wants to troll you, so he jumps a bit late. But Wellisso appears that he doesn't really have any trouble with it. And you saw that he also did a damage boost, allowing him to do a spread EX up close. And he gets a really
yeah, Wellisso with a very clean fight.
We're probably going to see the same thing with TMR. He takes the damage, goes inside the boss, uses two spread EXs for that extra damage. And he's probably going to skip that phase really quickly. Oh, yeah, yep. He didn't jump, so that's pretty quick. And now another 2 EXs.
Opting to do another damage boost right there.
Yeah, that's a bit risky, but...
Ooh, yeah, that was a very close call.
Indeed. He gets the knockout. Nicely done. So now Wellisso and TMR are gonna go fight the first airplane boss, and Hildaberg can actually be a bit of a pain, right?
So yeah, the best strategy. Hilda definitely gives me the most trouble in my runs. I imagine it's probably similar to these runners, just because the optimal strategy requires you to intentionally take damage twice, so you can shoot an EX shot, as you see Wellisso just did there, as Hilda's moving from left to right when she phase transitions. So
yeah,
because of that, there's not a very large margin of error.
Exactly.
You see, damage boost.
Yeah, a lot of the experienced speedruns will take those 2 damage boosts. It's really effective. Like, you can skip a lot of phases fastly. So he does a really good job there. But he's going to be at 1 HP on the final phase, which can be a bit tricky.
Yep. TMR also damage boosting, doing the same strategy that we just saw Wellisso do. And on this phase transition that Wellisso's on, the final phase, while she's transitioning, you're actually not doing damage to her, even though you're building cards. So that's why you see players not waste EX shots or supers at that point. They're just trying to build cards for this final phase.
Nicely done there from Wellisso, getting the knockout. Another interesting thing to say that both these runners are Legacy players, as we mentioned, and this fight is pretty much the same fight as in Legacy. You can get like a specific glitch in the Legacy version, but other than that, it's pretty much the same. So they both get the 2 damage boosts because they feel extremely confident in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a final phase knockout. Nicely done there from TMR.
Yep.
So Cavini is probably the hardest boss in the first world, right? It can be a bit like easy if you know his patterns and such, but if you can't really keep up with the seeds and all his attacks, he can be a bit problematic. There are some really interesting tech moves that you can do with EXs to gain a little bit of extra airtime. As Wellisso, you saw he did 2 EXs there. Oh, he jumped there, unfortunately. And he uses another one. Oh, he took another damage. That's
taking damage. Usually you can use your EX to kind of keep you in the air a little bit longer so you could avoid that attack, but Wellisso took... Ooh, that was a very close call. Wellisso took damage there by falling a little bit too early.
Yeah. Nah, he gets
the knockout.
Yeah, nicely done.
TMR getting slightly different RNG. He's getting the seed attack, which arguably worse RNG because if you don't parry the pink object coming down, it has that little enemy at the top that shoots pink seeds at you intermittently. Which is just another thing to have to dodge during the fight.
Also, another thing is the green plants come after you, so you pretty much have to kill them or effectively dodge them. That can be a bit difficult in some situations. So if you try to kill them, you lose time because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's an interesting thing that we're going to see from these 2 runners. I think Wellisso is going to get the bombs for the airplanes. In the meantime, TMR is not going to get the bombs, so they're going to have a different route. So they're going to be a bit out of sync.
Yeah, Wellisso, for getting the bombs route, you're going to want to do Baroness first. And if TMR opts not to get bombs, he's going to go down and do Beppy first. Although I did see TMR streaming a little bit earlier, he was practicing with bombs. I don't know if that's just because he had bombs on his file or if he was planning on going the bomb route for the tournament? I guess we'll find out shortly.
Yeah, we will. Now, about this, the Baroness Bonbon fight, it can be a bit difficult depending on the RNG you get. Wellisso got 2 really silly hits, I guess I should say, on the Muffin. You can take 1 hit to damage boost through him. It was a bit unfortunate that he took a second one. So now he's going to go to the final phase with 1 HP and can be a bit tricky.
And TMR with a little fake out. He started to walk toward Baroness and then decided to go back to Beppy. So it looks like he is going the no bombs route.
Yeah, I guess he remembered he didn't want the bombs. He got used to the legacy stuff. And a nice knockout there from Wellisso. Easy for him. Now TMR is on the Beppy. Beppy can be a bit problem sometimes. In the first phase, he wanted to do a really tricky technique where you can actually be behind Beppy after his first dash. He got hit there, but that was a bit unfortunate. And because
getting good RNG in the third phase with the green horse, which allows you to one cycle fairly easily with spread, and also happen to be on the right side, which is also ideal for that, so you don't have to worry about dodging the train when that phase comes up.
Yeah, true. If you actually get the golden horse, you can skip it, but it requires you different weapons. I mean, you're probably the only guy I know who can actually do that.
Yeah, with charge, even with charge, it's a little difficult. But since none of these players are using anything other than spread and pea shooter, they're going to want to get that green horse RNG. Wellisso on Jimmy right now. This fight, the second phase is a little interesting with these wall pieces, because these wall pieces actually do affect Jimmy's health when you destroy it. So you'll see Wellisso opting to shoot 4 or 5 times on each one and then use a bomb, because that extra damage that you do does affect Jimmy's health a little bit. Plus, it helps you build cards as well.
Yeah, the cards, building up the cards is really important, I believe. As you see, he killed the third phase. Yeah,
the third phase was instantaneous.
Nicely done.
Very well played.
He also got a really fast bomb in the first phase, which is something that is not really easy to do. But he got the dual attack, if I'm not mistaken. So it allows him to parry 2 red gems right there. Nice dodges there. You can actually stay close to the puppet there to dodge all the bullets. Really cheeky spot there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the rest of the fight is pretty typical. You just dodge and then, kill them instantly. Nicely done from Wellisso. I think he got a really good time as well.
Yeah, that seemed like a sub 130 for sure. Maybe 127. I don't know, 132.
Oh, okay.
He must have lost a little bit of time in the puppet phase.
Yeah, probably.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think the puppet phase cost me just a little bit of time there. In the meantime, we forgot to mention that TMR actually got a really good time on Beppy. He got a 130, which is one of the best times you can get. 110, I'm sorry about that. Which is one of the best you can get on Beppy.
Good day for us. Well done.
TMR now in the final phase of Jimmy. And Wellisso has moved on to Beppy, so we'll see how he does in comparison.
He had a really unfortunate pattern there from Beppy. He did the tricky spot. He found the really nice spot behind Beppy, but Beppy had a really different pattern, really passive, I guess, and a really fast one. So he didn't get the 2 cycle in the first cycle.
I see Wellisso getting the bad RNG for Beppy's third phase with the orange horse first.
Yeah, this is what Jason was talking about earlier. He didn't one cycle the horse phase because he got the golden first. That is like, I think, 4-second time loss, right?
Something like that, at least.
Yeah, this last phase with the penguins can be a bit difficult sometimes, but you can just stay on top of the platforms, and once they come out, you just jump down. Easy fight there. 1 EX and Beppy's pretty much done.
Yep.
I think TMR got some... Oh, I was about to say he got really good RNG on Baroness, and then he got the Jawbreaker. Yeah, I jinxed him.
The muffin is a little difficult also for going the spread and pea shooter route. That's what he got for the first phase. The second phase is okay. You got the gumball machine, but I think ideally you probably want to avoid the muffin as well, just because he's difficult to hit from how far he goes up and down.
Yeah. As someone is asking in chat who is ahead, after this boss fight from TMR, they're going to be pretty much on the same boss, I guess. They're going to be on the same route. So Wellisso is slightly ahead by one phase, I guess, of our boss.
Yeah, but as you know, anything can change. All it takes is one death or one slip up, and that can completely change the lead in a few seconds.
Yeah, Cuphead is one of those extremely punishing games in speedrunning. A death definitely costs a lot of time. Volleyball balls, I mean, in general, the airplane levels are pretty much the same, I guess I would say. You have to do a lot of EX management, save some cards or use some cards depending on what you want from the phases, calculate them, and then use the big bomb in specific places like what Wellisso does now to gain those iframes and damage the boss, even though he would have gotten hurt. So he knows the strats, he does a lot of damage as well.
On the final phase, Wally can move either left or right. If he moves left, as you see on Wellisso's screen, you get kind of stuck on the bottom left-hand corner, and you end up basically being forced to take damage. A little bit tricky of a fight right there, but Wellisso ended up pulling it off. Luckily, he saved 3 HP for that final phase.
Yeah, also another thing, at the position that Wellisso was, 1 HP as well, having the bombs had that little bit of a safety net, doing a little bit of damage while being on the safe side of things.
TMR got the RNG where Wally moves right instead, and this allows him to get through this phase without taking any unintentional damage.
Yeah, nice fight there from TMR as well. As now both of the runs are going to fight probably the hardest boss in the game for this category.
This match will get red hot. Now go!
Yeah, the dragon is extremely punishing. It can be really difficult, both the second and third phase, especially on the third phase, in my opinion. The platforms, the clouds that you see, are the only safety that you have, and sometimes the RNG on where they spawn affects the fight overall. Also, another thing to mention is that you want to use spread pretty much all the time, so you're playing with fire, literally, though.
Now, one thing to note also, yeah, Wellisso took damage there. Once you destroy the second phase of the dragon, the hitbox moves slightly over to the right, so if you're too close with spread, you'll see that you could take damage, as Wellisso just did right there. And unfortunately, Wellisso taking a death in the final phase.
Yeah. And while he was moving backwards, he wanted to dodge some of the attacks, but he was shooting. So when you shoot one of the fireballs, it spreads into 4 directions. So that fireball spread and actually took him down. TMR going for the slightly safer strat on the second phase, using pea shooter mainly and the X's. He has done this fight a lot of times on a hard difficulty as well, so he knows how to do things.
And that's another area where RNG can play a big factor right there during that flame attack on Mexican Runner's screen. He opted to stay below the flames on the lower clouds, but if you end up getting bad luck, you could end up getting stuck without a place to go and having the cloud send you right into the dragon. Luckily, he got out of that with a nice KO, and he officially takes the lead at this point. Wellisso is on the third phase right now, so we should be getting there shortly.
Yeah, the race is pretty close now. It's gonna be really interesting. That's for sure. He gets
that Wellisso with a knockout. So as you can see, these runners are now just a matter of 15 seconds apart from each other at this point in time.
Yeah, and moving on to the aisle 3, I don't necessarily think that the bosses in IL-3 are difficult, but they are definitely unique. And for every single speedrunner, I believe, they have a different boss that they think is the hardest one because of the difference in styles, I suppose. But the B that TMR is fighting right now is probably one of the hardest ones, I guess, on IL-3.
It's another boss that's fairly RNG dependent, depending on what attack she decides to use in her second phase here. She could either drop middle or drop on one of the sides. And generally for this category, using spread and feature, you want her to drop to the side first.
Yeah, side
That
first
way you get 2 phases of damage in this phase.
Yeah, getting the first cycle on the sides, it allows you to do a lot of damage and potentially get a really, really quick kill, and not going to the third phase at all, pretty much. Oh, you see, Wellisso got a really bad RNG there with the middle button, so... Oh, he didn't do a lot of damage, so he got another attack. Actually, it's actually kind of weird, but sometimes not doing a lot of damage while getting the middle pattern can be really good, because you get an extra cycle and then you get the quick kill.
Ooh, and TMR finishing her off right there.
Yeah.
And Wellisso gets the quick kill. These runners are just a few seconds apart now.
Yeah, this is extremely close. Really exciting. You can see just with the quick kill, Wellisso saved 16 seconds, which is pretty remarkable. So moving on, they're going to be fighting the robot, and this is probably the fight in the airplanes that getting bombs saves a lot of time. You have a lot of experience with the bombs, so you know a lot of stuff, how quick it is. You can explain, I guess, better than me.
Yeah.
On this one.
So this first phase of the robot, he has 3 different parts. He has his head, he has the chest, and he has the lower area. And with the bombs, you could actually shoot, as you see on Wellisso's screen, you could hit both bottom pieces at the same time with one bomb. So now both players, the bombs alone have saved enough time where Wellisso looks like Wellisso just pulled ahead. He got to the second phase first. Oh, but
yeah,
taking an unfortunate death. He thought that he had a full super.
Yeah, he
in
killed
which case you could.
Yeah, he killed the boss fight, the boss really quickly there, so he didn't get there enough EXs. So moving on to the second phase, he didn't have enough to get the bomb. So that was a bit unfortunate.
And TMR still with full health in the final phase, getting the knockout.
Yeah, nicely done. As you see, Wellisso now got the somewhat quick kill there on the second phase, and he moves on to the bullet hell. Oh wow, TMR didn't actually get hit though. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So I believe TMR had a 102.
Yes, TMR had a 102 right there. Wellisso should be finishing up shortly if he doesn't get hit here.
Yeah.
Yep.
He has a knockout. So yeah, despite the death, oh, he got a 105. I guess he was at 1 HP, so he wanted to clutch a little bit.
Yeah, he played it a little safe in the final phase and stayed back a little farther. Meanwhile, TMR, since he had full health, was right next to Dr. Kyle the entire time, and I think he had better luck with parryable objects as well.
Yeah, probably. Also, the death was pretty much in the beginning of the fight. I guess he lost like 20 seconds. So it's not really that big of a deal.
It's
usually
still anyone's game.
Yeah, exactly. Like usually deaths, are happening in the end of the fight, but it's a really good thing that happened in the beginning.
TMR finishing up the fight against Sally.
Yeah, Sally is a really easy boss. Not really much to say other than you can actually do a few damage boosts to skip. Like, you don't really care about her. Like, the attacks are really easy to dodge in general. So you always want to do damage to her, no matter what. As you can see now,
the third
Wellisso.
phase of Sally, yeah, Wellisso took some intentional damage so that he didn't have to stop shooting his spread. TMR, I believe, actually used that damage because he got the same RNG with the big wave. He used that to jump up and use a spread EX on Sally to make that phase slightly faster.
And with 5 EXs, Wellisso gets a really quick kill there in the final phase. It's a really nice fight. And moving on now, Werner Vermin is actually a really hard boss in this category, you know, compared to all the other ones.
TMR playing it very risky. He took intentional damage as Werner went across using the that charge attack. Most players opt to stop shooting for a little bit and jump on those pink springs. Oh, TMR taking a death, unfortunately.
Yeah, he didn't time that flamethrower. If you time it properly, you can actually jump and use an EX there to properly dodge that. It gives you that little bit of air time to dodge that attack. And now the two runs are extremely close.
Yeah, in fact, they're on the exact same attack right now.
Yeah, pretty synced.
And you can see Wellisso played it a little bit differently. He opted to stop shooting for a moment to go jump over Werner, whereas TMR just allowed Werner to hit him so he can continue shooting. TMR down to both players down to 1 HP now going into the second phase.
Oh, this is getting tense.
Both players using the same strategy.
Yeah. They are pretty much
both players getting to the third phase identically.
Wow. That's really synced. Yeah, you can just stay on the face. It's really easy. You use some spread EXs to get the quick kill there. Nicely done. Yeah, Wellisso gets the quick the faster kill. He had more EXs, so he was using more of them to fight. Yeah, the last phase like pretty quickly.
And in that final phase, TMR had slightly different RNG. He got Werner to do the little paw attack twice, so he had to go take a little bit of time on that second paw to dodge, whereas Wellisso got the attack where the mouse ghosts come out, and that allowed him to continue shooting, finish that fight up a little quicker. In that phase, anyway.
Talking about RNG, we have Briny Bear coming up. This is a RNG fiesta, I should say.
Yeah, your times on this, depending on what RNG you can get, could range anywhere from 45, 46 seconds to almost a minute, depending on what attacks Briny decides to use and how many EX cards you have going into the final phase.
Yeah, Wellisso gets the really, really good RNG so far with the Sark there. Let's see if he actually gets another animal pattern. And if it's the squid, then it's going to be...
Wellisso is getting the optimal RNG for this fight. He should be onto the final phase right after this attack. Yep.
Yeah, he is, yeah. He got extremely good RNG there.
TMR, unfortunately, has to go sit through another Briny attack before triggering the final phase.
An interesting thing you can do on that laser attack is to actually parry it and use a little bit of EXs and stuff. Wellisso had 3 HP. He had really good RNG in that one, so he didn't really have any problem dealing with the fight there, just tanking the laser. He got a really, really good time. In the meantime, yeah, we don't know. TMR should be back in a few seconds, so don't worry about that, guys. And they're going to be going now against Calamaria. I see a lot of TMR supporters in chat, so you guys have an emote for that. Can I see in the chat? So is this fight affected by RNG? Someone? I guess it is, right?
Absolutely. Depending on what some combinations of attacks could definitely be much harder or much easier to dodge. And this attack in particular, the red fish, is a very good one in current patch because she can shoot parryable objects, which you can use to get your bomb faster. Wellisso didn't need to parry any since he already had enough cards at that point. And Wellisso triggering the second phase right now without another attack. It's pretty good.
Yeah, on the current patch, you cannot stay in front of her and dodge the petrifying gaze. So Wellisso just took it. You can actually stay really, really high and dodge it, but it's not really the easiest thing to do sometimes. Oh, he gets 2 hits now from the petrifying gaze, going to the last phase with only 1 HP. This is going to be kind of difficult.
And Wellisso opting to use his super there. A lot of other players will wait to use their super until the spikes are coming. That way, if the spikes are in the way, you could use that to kind of damage boost through there. But Wellisso still getting the knockout regardless.
Yeah, he has experience, as we said, on Legacy, and you pretty much do the same strat in Legacy. Stick to her face and do the weapon swap glitch with the airplane. So he knows how to play that last phase.
Hopefully should be coming back up shortly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he will. By the way, I saw those TMRgasms in chat. Thank you for everyone watching. So the Pain Train, as one of the speedrunners in our community, is a really difficult boss in this one.
Okay, and TMR's stream has now just caught up. He's also starting the Phantom Express, so he must have also had decent fights on Briny Beard and Calmaria.
Yeah, they're pretty much really close to each other. So the race is extremely close, man. As we expected from those two.
Yeah. In spite of deaths on both players, they're still at about the same part of the game.
Yeah, that is true. In this second phase of the train, you can actually get a really nice quick kill, getting a 2-cycle kill on the skeleton. But you have to use your EXs properly, P-Shooter EXs properly, which can be a bit difficult, and I only know a few people that can actually get it consistently. Yeah, third phase is pretty easy. Just stay close to the phases, and once they reach the lowest point of their animation, you shoot one spread EX to do whole damage of it. So it's pretty quick kill there. Oh, and Tiamat is on 1 HP. This can be a bit tricky.
Could be a little intense. And one thing to note about this third phase as well is that you can touch the heads without taking damage as well. So that's what makes it possible for you to jump up and use a spread EX right on the boss's hitbox.
Yeah, the last phase, the really
Wellisso finishing up that fight nicely.
Yeah, the really quick kill there in the last phase is to stay on the left side of the screen and use a couple of EXs, and lock on with Fisher as well as the train goes away on the right. And when it comes back, just use a little bit of a spread.
And TMR finishing up as well.
Yeah, both of them getting the knockout. Nicely done. They both had to clutch, but it's a really easy task for them. Now, King Dice can be kind of interesting to see what routes they're going to take. I think Wellisso's going to go for 3, 4, and 8. That's what I know. He goes for the cigar damage boost and shooting behind the cigar. He thinks that is slightly easier to do as far as execution goes. I don't think he prefers P-Shooter in general. That's why he chooses the number 3. He also got a heart RNG there, which is pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the cigar has more HP than the poker chips, which we might see TMR go for that. But the good thing about the cigar is that you can deal sustained damage easier since his hitbox is much taller than the poker chips. As you see, Mexican Runner is opting to go 2 first, so you'll see a difference in these fights.
Yeah, the poker chips, you're mostly going to use spread is not really that effective because the hitbox is really small. So a lot of players who have played low percent or they have handled P-Shooter more, they feel more comfortable with P-Shooter. They're going to go for number 2 instead. Now, as far as the second board of bosses, the Dominus is not only the easiest one amongst them, but it's also one of the, I should say, the fastest ones, right? Because I think the other bosses are really tanky.
Yeah, out of the other bosses, they all have more HP. So it's pretty much a no-brainer in this category to go for this, to go for the domino.
Yeah, of course, number 8 is by far the best one from the last set of bosses. It's extremely easy to use spread on it. You can also use the spread EX to kill it extremely faster. And, well, it has little HP as well, I think.
Yeah,
compared to the other
definitely has the
ones.
lowest HP. And then this is another example of a boss like Phantom Express's third phase, where you can go inside of the boss's hitbox without taking damage. You can only be damaged by, you know, those little chalk things that are bouncing up and down the side, and then the little ball or whatever that 8-ball shoots out of its mouth. So this is definitely the easiest boss in this. Now, if it was Legacy, you would see that both runners opt to go for number 9, because you can do a glitch with the monkey to make him go off the screen, which ends up being faster than this, but this is still almost as fast. Wellisso moving on to King Dice.
This is not a difficult fight. You just have to pair the cards, and if you need that extra airtime, throw any extra. It's calculated though, the damage, so both of the runs, I don't think they will have any problem with this fight. He gets out 216 there. Anything below 220, I believe, is really good time.
216 is a really solid time.
Yeah. And moving on to the devil. And remember, kids, never say yes to the devil, always say no. Yeah, never accept his deals. And the fight is actually kind of a difficult one, in my opinion, at least.
And TMR with a 210, that's actually a very good time for King Dice.
Oh yeah, 210 is incredible time, that is for sure.
So he definitely closed the gap a little bit between him and Welly, so we'll see. It all come down to this fight. Oh, Wellisso taking 2 damage in the first phase so far.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate.
Just as he did in his last match, and getting the poor RNG with the spider.
Oh, this can be really difficult.
Difficult both to dodge and just get very small amounts of time to damage him, so you're not even really doing too much to the boss. TMR getting the same RNG with the spider.
Yeah, it will come down to if Wellisso can clutch this fight. Oh, this is really tense. It reminds me of another match that Wellisso had early on.
We'll see if it has the same ending.
Let's see. Nicely done, dodging there. Oh, a lot of projectiles.
A lot of things going on right now.
He does
doing a very good job dodging.
As if he gets it.
And he's done it.
GG to Wellisso. Man, that 1 HP. He managed to clutch it. Nicely done from Wellisso.
TMR still with full health, so he should be getting to the knockout screen shortly.
Yeah, that fight can actually be really, really difficult, especially like the last phases. And if you're at 1 HP,
TMR is down to 1 HP now, going into the final phase.
He's gonna have to use some EXs there.
And he's got it.
Yeah, GG to both runners. Really, really close race. A little less than 40 seconds separating them both. Amazing. I'm gonna see if any one of them wants to join for a post-match interview. In the meantime, you can do like a little bit of what went with that race.
Yeah, it was a very close match. Overall, both players had very good times on most of the levels. There were a few costly deaths. If I remember correctly, I believe each player took 2 deaths over the course of the run. And, sometimes it just matters where you die. Wellisso having some less costly deaths by dying more toward the beginning of fights. Like against Dr. Kyle's robot, he died in the beginning of the second phase, which didn't cost as much time as it could have if he died later. And that ended up being the difference.
I don't know what the hell happened to my time and everything. Well, I mean to my stream, sorry. Also, my mom was just...
I'm gonna bring Wellisso shortly. I'm gonna tell him to join.
Okay.
Wellisso, can you hear us? Yeah, I'm pretty sure Wellisso will be here shortly. I'm pretty sure he can hear us.
Okay. It looks like his audio might be muted.
Yeah, he will fix it in a few seconds, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, the race was actually pretty close. Both runners had some unfortunate deaths, but I think it really came down to, nice execution from Wellisso. He got good energy as well, and he knew the strats pretty much compared to TMR, who hasn't done this category for a long time. So he didn't really knew the strats. You can see that the mechanics were on point, but the strats and the knowledge, the game knowledge, was definitely not there, I believe. So, Wellisso, can you hear us?
Oh? Now it's... Oh, I used
Now.
Hi, Wellisso.
Yeah, now we can hear you. Congratulations, Wellisso, for your victory. How do you feel?
To be honest, really amazed, because I made some mistakes, but it cost me 2 deaths. One really... But I'm just amazed, because I was really amazed of the Mexican runner. I set myself maybe a huge challenge for my head and put myself to way more stress, but made it. I'm not sure what happened on Team R sides, because I saw you quit it and because of this ping and something. Well, I'm really excited that I won the race, of course.
It was a really close race as well. Both of you had some of... the good thing, for both of you actually was the fact that the deaths were really early on the boss fight. So, it didn't really cost you that much time. But definitely you clutched a lot of the fights as well. And more importantly, you clutched the final fight. How do you feel about that?
Again, I took a hit. One was on the fire attack as well, I guess. And one, I was a little bit confused because he was changing, then there was... I didn't know what to do at the second, and I got a hit as well, and I was thinking, oh god damn it, not again 1 HP in the second phase. I somehow clutched it, even though there were some 3D better for me where I had... But overall it was a really exciting race. Well, the mistake on the dragon, I guess, was the biggest one, which cost me around a minute. On the way back, I was shooting a fireball, and then it hit me on the back when it's go to 4 dimensions. And the strangest mistake was on Dr. Kurt's robot, because somehow I didn't have the F-axis for the second phase. And I just pressed circle my X, and I was really confused and died because of it.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit of poor RNG. Sometimes Dr. Kyle's robot's middle piece shoots out the little parryable cylinders a little faster. I believe you only got 1 before you destroyed the middle piece as opposed to 2, which what typically happens on most runs. So you ended up having a little less super energy than normal.
One quick question, Wellisso. What was your in-game plan?
Currently, look, if I have the hotkey, I will just look up the past broadcast, but I think it was something 34.6, 35.6.
Fine. In the meantime, I might say that the close was extremely close. At one point on Werner Verman, you guys were on sync because TMR had a death as well. So you pretty much started the fight at the same time. on Werner Verman. So it was pretty interesting to watch. And the viewers really love it as well, I might say.
Yeah, there were at least 3 or 4 lead changes throughout that entire race, and it was very intense.
Just it's 35-3, which in my in-game time.
35:03. That's a very good time, especially considering the death on the dragon and Dr. Kyle's robot.
For
You
the
must
thing
have
with the clutch thing, it's funny because yesterday I just wanted to practice. Mark came in the chat and said, "Hey, I don't have so much time." So I said to myself, "Well, okay, don't practice for yesterday and the clutch race." And when you say that we are on sync, that's what I'm excited for. It's exactly what I wanted to do. A clutch race.
That was a clutch race. You had 2 races. Both of them were so close. Like, I'm pretty sure that whenever someone now watches the tournament and sees Wellisso on the schedule, they're going to be like, this is going to be a clutch match. I want to see this match.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how you do it on the Devil, too. Like, just getting to the second phase with 1 HP in both of the last races and just managing to hold on. It's very clutch. Very impressive.
You see, somehow I get used to it. It's always the same. Like the 1 HP clutch, the 1 HP warrior is in my heart, I guess. It can't... It has to come out. There were so many fights again where I took some hits which I wasn't really supposed to hit, like we all practice that and should get hit by, and I always get those hits. It's so stupid.
Yeah, there was one point, especially on the 3rd phase, where the bat was coming down, the purple guy on the side was shooting his thing, and then the flaming poker chip was dropping down. Like, so many projectiles going on at one time, and you managed to dodge all of them. It was impressive.
Thank you a lot.
So let's talk about the future of the tournament for you. You're moving on to the semifinals, I guess, of the winner bracket. This is extremely exciting because you're going to be facing the winner between the match that's going to start in about 30 minutes between Kaleva and Mr. Dino. How do you feel about this match, and how do you feel overall with your performance in the tournament?
I didn't saw Mr. Dino against the call at ATC, so I can't say anything about him. But from what I saw, Kaleva against John Scottman was really insane. So, well, for me, if I can say, I hope maybe I will fight against Kaleva, because his time is really, really amazing. He got on the tournament, and so well, I'm really excited. But of course, beat up the standards. I don't come to the word, the English word for that, but I don't really care. It sounds a little harsh, but I think that's what I want. I don't really care who's the next enemy. I want a clutch race as well.
Clutch race. That's indeed true.
I'm sure it'll be another close one.
There has to be.
That's for sure. But for those who support him, this is not the end of the tournament for him. He's moving on to the losers bracket, where he's going to be facing either Laurie D. Bunnykins or Justin. Really interesting matchup, I believe. I think Justin has proven to be really consistent recently. He got a new PB as well, so it's going to be a really interesting match. And yeah, I think this is from us. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we close the stream?
Just wanted to ask the question which Sam Buffalo always wants to ask. Did you prepare for today, or?
Oh, I mean,
did he give you the instructions?
It is the question that Potato initiated with, and was, what was your best fight and what was your worst fight in the race so far? What do you think?
The best fight was, I guess, the Devil. I have to be honest, like clutching at everything. The worst fight was, the thing with Dr. Kurt's robot. I think on the levels we are playing, right, round of 8, we won in this tournament. It's a little bit strange that things like this happen, but well.
Yeah, sometimes it happens. You get on autopilot, you're so used to having the super energy, and then you just kind of forget to actually look and see if you have it.
Exactly. So I think that is from us. Congratulations once again, Wellisso, for your victory. That was a really interesting, a really exciting match to watch as well. I'm gonna say that we're gonna be moving on ahead in a few minutes. We're gonna have the next match between Mr. Dino and Kaleva, and the winner of this match is gonna face Wellisso. So if you want more Cuphead action, make sure you stay tuned, and we'll see you in a few minutes. See you, everyone.
All right, take care. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you for both the commentary and Team R for the really nice. It was an honor.
Yep, and best of luck to you in your future match, Wellisso.